Hey guys, welcome to the shop now. It's been an exciting last couple weeks for me, and I've acquired a couple new pieces of equipment. You've seen the grinder that I got last week. I got that from Dale Dairy, and I borrowed my dad's pickup truck and his trailer, and me and him rode up to Seaman, Ohio to get another piece of equipment for the shop. And we had to take a trailer to get this one. It's a couple hours from here drive, so we had to take the trailer to get this one. We couldn't physically pick this one up. It's probably 200 or 300 pounds, I would guess, a little heavier than that grinder. And I think it's going to make a great addition to the shop. Let me pan you around and show you what I went and got. Well, yeah, I'd say that's probably at least a couple 100 pounds heavier than that grinder. And just a guess off my head, I would say 6,000 to 7,000 pounds. So it's a pretty heavy piece of equipment. It is a Kearney and Trecker Model K horizontal mill with the vertical head, and it is quite a piece of equipment. Now, I went and looked at this past Saturday, and I was going to go to Mr. Pete's meet and greet, and I really hated that I missed that. Any of you guys familiar with Mr. Pete will know that, you know, he's a pretty nice guy, and I'd love to meet him. There was a lot of creators there, but I didn't want to miss out on this machine either. But to be honest, I would almost give this machine to have went. But ended up going up there, looking at this machine on Saturday, and then Tuesday of past week, I went and picked this guy up. Today is Wednesday, and I just woke up, come out here. Well, I've been up for a while, but it just got light enough for me to film. So I come out here, and I want to show you how I got it rigged up, how I got it on the trailer. I got some loading footage that's, man, it was exciting. Let's just say that. It took everything that I brought with me to get this thing to pull up on this trailer. I'm going to show you some loading footage. I'm going to show you how I got it rigged up. We're going to look over this machine real well, and then maybe I'll start unloading it, and I'll probably do that by myself. Alright, so I've already pulled some of the straps off of it that I had over the overhead rams and stuff to keep it from tipping, but just rigged up, you know, both ways to keep it stable on the trailer as we moved. And to be honest, if you hit something going at any rate of speed, I don't think you could have enough straps to hold this thing. You know, moving these are dangerous, that's for sure. It was sketchy, and I was nervous the whole time. I don't move a lot of heavy loads like this, but I moved my shaper and I moved my lathe in the exact same way, and it works. You know, when you're dealing with heavy stuff like this and, you know, standard equipment that most people have, you got to improvise to get these things on. And I've got it sitting on some sheet metal right now, just oiled sheet metal. That's how I drug it up on here, and I'll show you some of that loading footage in just a minute. But pulled it up on here with this winch here. It's just a, I don't know, it doesn't even have a rating on it as far as its pulling capabilities, but I doubled it up and got it running through a block, and used that, a come along, and a chain hoist at the same time when this thing got in its heaviest position on the ramps to get it to move. And I broke a chain, and I broke a strap, and I broke a bolt and a chain getting this thing up on here. To be honest, for a minute there, I was thinking that I wasn't going to be able to load this machine that day. It was coming home with me. If it come home in a trunk of a car in pieces and all I had to haul on the trailer was a casting. But I got it up on here, thankfully, and I'm really excited to have it. Man, it looks to be, really does look to be in an amazing mechanical condition, and I'll show you that too. It'll be a while before we use it, but I'm excited about this thing for sure. It is a beast. So let me get you up on here. I'm going to wipe the table and stuff off. It's all covered in grease right now. It looks pretty sorry as far as the paint and stuff, but that's nothing. And I'll show you the ways and stuff on this machine, the table, and you know, give you a good look around it. Okay guys, now I want to show you the table and the ways on this machine and tell you what I know of the story that I was told. Now, the gentleman I bought this from, John Day, got it from another gentleman who was, I believe, up in age. I forget his name, but he acquired, the older gentleman that passed away, acquired this machine from a company out on the West Coast, out in California. And the story is that this machine was used in an aerospace place for a period of time. I guess it developed some wear and stuff, and then was sent off for a rebuild. Well, in a rebuild, because this company was expecting this large government contract to come through, and the company ended up not getting the government contract, and this machine ended up pretty much setting really kind of unused after the rebuild, at least production-wise unused. This is just the story I was told. And from just my general inspection on this machine, that story is true. It seems to be, by what I see as far as all the scraping on this thing. You move the table both ways, and you know, it feels great. All of the original flaking is still in it. Well, I don't know about original flaking, but all the flaking that was done was in it. The table looks to have been reground at one point, and then it's probably been used as a workbench for, you know, 30 years, but so it doesn't look perfect, but it looks pretty good. It still has paint on the ways of the table, if that tells you anything, where this machine was painted. Now, I think originally this machine, it's either the primer or the paint is like a off-white, like a tan. You know, I think these machines originally came this blue, but I believe this is a respray. It has the tag on it that shows, you know, where it was more machinery company out in San Francisco. Yeah, let me show you. Now, I'm not for sure if this is a company that sold this machine, rebuilt it, or whatnot, but it's More Machinery in Los Angeles County, San Francisco. So that's a pretty neat tag, and it's all. This is also a war machine. Get a good shot of that. War finish, as directed by ordering L108 WPB. So, you know, pretty neat to have a machine. This is the first machine I've ever had with a war tag on it. So, you know, that dates this machine in probably in the 40s, I'm guessing. So, you know, man, it is a heavy piece of equipment too. The overhead rams on this machine, you know, they get grease all over them and some rust, and the paint, where they have not been extended since this machine was painted, are 4.5 inches, I believe. Alright, here's the serial number on this machine. It's a 205210. You know, I don't know what that means. I really haven't had a chance to look into these machines a whole lot. And it is a number 2 plane. Here's a look at the table. You can see it's been welded up in a couple places and repaired. And to me, it looked like at one point it's been reground. And John believes that too, just because it's not all beat up. I mean, it of course does have some spots on it, probably because it was a work table, and it's covered in grease. That's, I mean, you know, this thing was sitting outside under a tarp, so it's definitely greasy, and I'm sure it's set in a, you know, shop forever. So the table's in pretty good shape. It'll clean up really nice, I think. Let me show you the ways and the screws on this machine. Alright, so we're looking at the bottom of the table of the machine here, and you know, when you go to look at a machine, you just do the best you can with the time that you have available to assess the condition of a machine. And John told me that, of course, the story about this machine being rebuilt, and from everything that I see, I really do believe that that is the case. There is absolutely no scoring on the dovetail or the top of the bottom, the flat on the way here of the table. You can see the paint on the way still, where this machine was repainted. You know, traveling quite a ways. Now I scraped it back to here with a razor blade because I wanted to see what it looked like under there, and it looks brand new under the paint. Now, anybody can paint a machine, and anybody can take a power flaker and flake a machine. That doesn't make the machine, you know, rebuilt or new. But under that paint, you know, and it being in the important range, the paint still being in the important range, the usable range of this table, tells me that that story is probably true. There is almost no backlash in the screws on the table of this thing. Really, you know, just initial look, I'm really pleased with it. When you go to look at a machine, you don't have a lot of time. You know, you try to make your best decisions, you know, in a quick amount of time. And from everything that I see on this machine, it looks really good. Let me show you a couple other things that are neat about this machine. Alright, so this is the same shot that I just showed you, but after I wiped off the ways in the front of the table a little bit. It looks exactly the same in here. You know, you can see a little staining and stuff, but as far as any damage throughout the holes, and it's like this all the way around. You know, it's not just this one front corner. It's all like this. And, you know, just my, you know, initial inspection, this machine's every bit of 70 plus years old. We could still run into a whole host of things that's wrong with this machine. But, you know, just your general machine surface inspection, really, you know, like what I'm seeing. You know, you normally don't see this kind of stuff on a machine of this age. Here is a pretty good shot of the knee ways on this machine. You know, they're in excellent condition. They look the same at the front as they do in the middle and the back. Okay, I think everybody would agree that this paint on this machine is old. You know, it's of course a really good quality respray, but it's old. It still has the paint on the graduated dowels on the hand wheels. Now, this machine could not have been used much since it's been painted. And still have, this is the only dial that, you know, you can tell your travel in your X direction. So with it being painted, I mean, unless the machining you were doing was guessing, that tells me it hasn't been used much since it's been painted. You know, just a little, you know, assumption here. But I thought that was, you know, different. And this machine has the side controls. So you can operate this machine from this side of the machine and not have to be in front of it to operate the power feeds and stuff. Hey guys, welcome to the shop. We're up in Seaman, Ohio. I'm here to get a new piece of equipment for the shop. It should be pretty neat. It is a monster, and got my dad's truck and trailer here, and I'm gonna try to pull it up on there, so it should be interesting. Let's get started. Well, here it is. It's a big Kearney and Trecker Model K horizontal vertical mill. So this thing is a monster. There's a lot of cast here, and it's gonna be tough to move. It's sitting on some what look like 6x6 wood blocks. So it's up off the ground. We got some trailer ramps on it. We're going to try to scoot it around and then attempt to pull it up on this trailer. You know, we'll see how well it works. Okay, seem okay? Good.
Broke something.
Yeah, it's probably that bolt.
That little bolt.
It was moving though.
It moved. Moved better than it.
Wow.
what I thought it would do.
Rolling them blocks?
It's pushing the metal out of the way.
What metal? Those ramps?
Yeah.
Maybe that oil will make it slide a little better.
It can't hurt.
Yeah, it won't hurt none. Well, so far so good. A little nervous about it. Anytime you move something big like this, you just never know, and it's just a dangerous job unless you have, you know, the ideal equipment, which would be a big forklift or something like that. But you know, not everybody has that luxury, and this is the way I moved my shaper, dragging it up oiled sheet metal with a winch, and it works. It's just sketchy, but what I'm doing is, it has the 4 bolt down holes in it, and in the back here I've just slid down 4 5/8 11 studs or bolts in each one at the back, and then wrap this strap around it, and the rest you see, just chain and a winch. So it's working. You know, I tried a little chain first and it popped, and that was, you know, that was something. These things are heavy. It ain't no joke, and it's a dangerous you know, job, but if you're careful, you know, you can do it. Just slow. A lot of resistance.
It's hard for a while now.
Come off though. It come off of there, so it's on the metal now.
Yeah.
It's like the devil, based on all the horns sticking off from it. The devil.
Got it halfway on. It's been a job. This thing is heavy for sure.
Looks like a wicked son of a gun. Not today, Satan. Not today.
Goodness gracious, look at the knee on that thing.
Yeah.
I figure you don't worry too much about her sliding backwards now.
Here, let it loose. Well, we got it on the trailer and headed back towards the house. And man, it was a job to get that thing on there. It was definitely heavy, but we're just going to take our time on the way back and drive slow. And that's all you can do, really. Got it strapped pretty good. I don't think I don't think it's going to fall off there anyway.
I'm like, alright, you're on your own.
Alright guys, so I'm pulling this thing off the trailer, and I haven't got very far yet, but it's moving. And you can see I've got a piece of, what this is a piece of aluminum diamond plate, but of course the diamond pattern's down. And it's oiled, so the machine slides relatively easy on it. It's got holes around the outside, and I took advantage of those and screwed this piece of sheet metal down to the trailer, down to the wood flat. That way, I don't want this metal sliding with it. I want the machine to slide on top of the metal because I've overlapped it, and that's the way I'm going to get it inside the shop. So I pulled it up to this point, the back of the machine up to the edge, and it got caught. So I had to use a spud bar. You know, my wife helped me. We lifted up slightly the back of the machine. I drove wedges into underneath to get it up a little bit, and it actually, you can see, tore that. It's just aluminum, but it still, you know, tore that piece. It was hung that bad, and you know, stuff like this is sketchy. But when you don't have a huge forklift, you know, you don't have much option other than to, you know, slide these things or roll them on pipes, one way or another. So that's what I'm doing. It's moving and making progress.
We're getting to the point to going over. Once it gets past.
Yeah, it's getting at that teetering point.
Yeah.
Well, you can see that my machine here is trying to slide it, trying to get off to one side of this sheet metal, and I do not want it dropping off to the other side. For one, I got little screws, you know, holding this sheet metal down, and I don't want it hanging on those. And we're fixing to go off the end of the trailer here, so I need to scoot the machine over. So I just gotta, hopefully this works and those cheap chains don't break. Scoot this side, then I'll go to leave this on here, get another one, move to the front, and pull it over. That way it stays where you know, in the middle of my metal. Otherwise, you can get in big trouble quick. Now that I've got it over a little bit, I'm going to put a strap around the back, so even though this is not a steep grade, I'm not leaving any room for, you know, something I can't control. So I'm going to put a strap on the back of it, holding it towards the back of the trailer with just a little bit of slack in it. I'll pull it a little bit and keep giving it slack. That way it can't go anywhere I don't want it to go. So that's the idea. What does that strap look like?
Still a little loose.
Tight?
No, not yet. Alright, alright, alright.
Alright, so all I'm doing is pulling this thing a little at a time. I've got a strap hooked to the back of the trailer, and I give it a little slack, pull it, and give it a little slack. I don't want, this is not a very steep grade, but sometimes it doesn't take much for steel on steel to start sliding. So, plus this is oiled. So little slack, pull it a little bit, adjust, and so on. It's definitely slow, but it works. And usually you can do it fairly safely if you're careful. Good. We're good now. Is that here?
Yep, you're good.
Off the trailer?
Off the trailer.
Yeah. Well guys, it's on the shop floor safe, and I'd have to say that I'm extremely relieved. You know, that was a lot of work, man. 2 days, a day to load this. I think it took 6 or 7 hours for me to get this thing from where it was sitting when I pulled up to on the trailer. So, you know, I wouldn't want to do it again, but for this machine I would. And then it took at least 2 or 3 hours to get it off. You know, probably more than that. And big thanks to my wife. I, you know, wouldn't have been able to do it without her. And, you know, I wouldn't be able to do any of this without her. So who knows where I'd be. But I think a lot of us can probably say that. You know, so big thanks to her. Big thanks to my patrons and Jim Liechty, because they're the only reasons I got this machine. Otherwise, you know, I wouldn't have been able to do it. My channel funds, basically, what I've been saving since I started YouTube. Got this machine, so I hope to bring you guys some really good content with it. Now, I've wanted one of these machines for years. Ever since I seen Keith Finner's and Adam Booth's, I've really wanted one. I always like the look of the older ones a little better, just because they are a little more rounded and stuff, but that's just personal preference. And I hate my fluorescent lights. I need to put up my, I got a couple LEDs that I need to put up. Those stupid things, man, every time you go to do something, they're on or off. And the ballast costs more than the stupid fixture. But anyway, that's a side note. I'm blown away by the condition of the ways on this machine. Every one that I've looked at over the last couple of years, and I've looked at a few, has just been completely beat all to pieces. You know, nobody bought these machines for clockwork, so they were used to, you know, having big castings and stuff put up on the table, and a lot of times, you know, the machine surfaces took a lot of the hits and bruises, and it's pretty obvious from some that you see that they have done a lot of work, and this one blows me away with the condition that at least the machine surfaces are in. You know, we could, of course, still run into a whole host of issues. These are not a simple machine. This is not a shaper, you know, with a, you know, standard little gearbox. There's a lot going on in here as far as mechanically, and you know, we'll see. That's all I can say. You know, I don't expect to have any really big issues, but you never know. Now, I need to get some 50 taper tooling for this thing. I did get some with it, but of course I don't have anything that takes 50 taper tooling, so I don't have any 50 taper tooling. So keep your eyes open for any, you know, 50 taper stuff that is available cheap. You know, I'm definitely interested in tooling this thing up, of course, you know, or else I won't be able to use it. I did get a couple pieces with it. I got 2 horizontal arbors with it, one smaller that I'm not for sure is 50 taper, and then got a couple pieces, and then I did get the overhead support with it, which is a must. So the vertical head on this thing is what sold me on this machine, because you could take this vertical head off and probably sell it for close to what I got in the machine, or at least a good portion of it. So, you know, big bonus. A lot of times they got separated from the machine. Most of the time you bought a horizontal mill, you used it horizontally, and this was an option from the best as I can tell. So a good option to have, that and the side controls. From what I read, now I'm no expert on these things at all, that is a desirable option. I don't have the handle for that side control. It takes a separate crank that I don't have, so if any of you guys know where one of those is at for sale, I'd like to buy one, because I need one. Now, there's a lot to do on this machine. This is not a cutter grinder and not going to take 3 days to get up and going. This is going to take months probably, so there's a lot to do here, but I'm ready to dig in. If I didn't have to edit this video, I'd be digging in right now, but you know, I'm excited about it, that's for sure, and I can't wait to use it. So, thanks for watching, guys. Big thanks, like I said, to my wife. Big thanks to my dad, because I wouldn't have got it without him. Big thanks to my patrons and Jim Liechty. So, and thanks to the viewers. You know, if you're watching this video, it was made for you. And if you enjoy my videos, give it a thumbs up, because it helps the channel. So, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure to do that. Click on my little guy up here and hit the bell for notifications. And as always, I'll see you next time.